Hi everyone, today we have joining yet another topper with us, Manasvi Lingam, and with her we have Nandini ma'am from all the way from Navi Mumbai. Manasvi, first of all, many congratulations to you. How are you feeling?
Thank you. The feeling is just surreal. After my interview, I genuinely thought that I messed up. And when I got the offer letter for IIM Ranchi, I was really excited and it was really nice.
Right. So Manasvi, before coming to which I am you're going, we would first like to know, like you prepared for how many exams, all the major IPM exams, when you started your preparation, a quick overview as to your preparation journey.
So I gave IPMAT, GIPMAT, and BMSAT for Quick. I started my preparation after boards, but I was a PCM student, so my math base was already strong. So lesser amount of time was required for my quant preparation. So
And Manasi, I believe you were in a crash course. So why you joined late? Like, what was the idea behind joining just the crash course and not the year-long course? Because students often at times feel, that we are late. So what advice would you give to them for those who feel we are late and we have missed the train to the 1 year course? What advice would you give to them?
To each their own. As I said again, my base was already strong because I was a PCM student and I'd already given a few mocks before I gave, and so I already knew where I was starting from. And I knew that 1 month or 2 months would be enough for me to complete the course.
Like you mentioned, you knew your strengths. Was there any particular section that actually posed a challenge for you or any other challenges?
Surprisingly, it was VA because since fourth grade, I have been talking about how good I am at English. And um, yeah, so when I saw the IPMAT VA section, just knowing how to talk or thinking that you're good at English won't get you by, especially your 12th grade English is not going to get you by because the grammar is very heavily dependent on actually knowing the rules rather than whatever sounds right to you. So the English section was a bit of a problem, which Nandini ma'am helped me with a lot.
Nandini ma'am, we would like to hear from you since she mentioned, and actually students have this thing, VA is something very easy. हाँ वो तो जो हम स्कूल में करते हैं वही हो जाएगा. Contrary to IPMAT, which is the VA section is completely different. So your take on this, ma'am?
Yeah, so as I tell my students, the VA section is nothing like what they've done in school. So even if they've got 100 in the English in the 10th, it's going to be tough. So because it's basically very vocab heavy, which and the type of vocab they've never come across. And the grammar, though they have learned grammar since the primary section in school, but then getting back to the specific grammar rules which matter for IPMAT is a different story. So yeah, they should focus a lot on the
Correct. And Manasvi, what was your strategy to combat VARC? You said your math background was strong, but what strategies did you applied to ace this section as well?
So I gave sectional mocks where I focused mainly on VA and whichever my weaknesses were or the opportunities were where I was doing it right but I wasn't attempting a lot of it, I looked into those and I focused on those. So Nandini ma'am helped me with a lot of my doubts and vocabulary is something that even towards the end that the 1 month crash course everything was good except vocabulary because that's something that you just can't mug up in the last month. So that was one section where I fell behind on, but everything else just practice, learn the grammar rules, and do as many sectionals as you can.
Okay. Now, Manasvi, you had calls from almost all major IIMs, and you finally are going into IIM Ranchi. Now, before coming to why IIM Ranchi, I want you to first tell us about the interview experiences that you had at these IIMs.
They were actually all vastly different. My first interview was for IIM Rohtak. I had to go to Hyderabad for my interview, and that was one of the worst interview experience I ever had because given that it was my first interview, I didn't really prepare well for it, and I had gym math the next day. So it didn't really go well. My interview ended in 4 minutes, and that was sort of a reality check as to how much I need to prepare for my interviews. So my second interview was Kozhikode, which was extreme other end from Rohtak because while Rohtak was very academic, Koiko there was no academics at all, at least in my panel. And all we did was have a chat like this one, and they asked about my best friend for 10 minutes, which was shocking. So every interview is different, and you can't really predict what's going to happen in your interview. Even if it's for the same college, you have different panels, and each panel has a different way of grading you. So you can never predict what's going to happen in your interview. So you should give as many mocks as possible. While Rohtak and Kozhikode were extremely different, every other interview, like Indore, Ranchi, Shillong, was very balanced for me. We had talks about my extracurriculars as well as academics and a bit of HR.
Any particular questions where you fumbled or it was like something unexpected?
I feel like I should have expected this, but one question where I fumbled was why are you doing business given that your extracurriculars are so writing heavy? So I had a lot of writing competitions, I ran a magazine, things like that. So while I prepared for why business, I couldn't answer why haven't you gone into writing and why haven't you like done pure journalism instead of going into business. I had this question in both my Indore and Ranchi interviews. In my Indore interview, I got really scared because they said, I don't think you want to do business. I think you just want to do journalism and you don't know what to do. That's why you're here. Somehow I managed to answer that. I told them that while I had explored the HR and management side of business, I wanted to explore the working and systems. So that was one question that tripped me off. But even though my Indore interview went like that, I feel like I got a pretty good rank considering that. So.
Great. And now comes the question, IIM Ranchi it is, right? So in detail, we would want to know how the interview went at IIM Ranchi.
To be honest, I didn't think that my interview went all that great at Ranchi. Given that Ranchi has one of the lowest weightage for interviews, I think it has 15%. I feel like my marks carried me, but nonetheless, my interview started with them going through all my extracurriculars. So they had a list of my extracurriculars, and they essentially read out each one and asked me about it. So that took up 5 to 7 minutes. After that, they asked me about academics, which was very low. They only asked me 2 to 3 questions of mathematics, which I could answer. And after that, they asked me about Mumbai, what Mumbai is known for. Um, at the time, I, for some reason, completely forgot that the NSE and VSE are headquartered at Mumbai. So that was something that they grilled me on, and they kept asking about the stock market. But other than that, there was nothing much, no HR questions as such.
All right. Now, Manasvi, you mentioned that you were a PCM student. Why IPMAT?
I feel like I've given this answer more times than countable, but um, I took PCM because I didn't know what I wanted to do at the time, and there are more opportunities if you take PCM and you're not limiting your stream. But since then, I realized that I wasn't really interested in pure mathematics or purely a technical degree, which is why I took IPM, and a lot of my extracurriculars resonated with what I'm saying, which is what helped me in my interviews. But that is.
So, like, you chose management for various reasons, one of them being your extracurriculars. But apart from that, coming from a science background and then churning into management background, you must have, did your share of research. So, what fascinates you the most about management that you finally decided that you will be appearing for IPMAT?
Um, I don't think it was management as subject, but it was the IPM course as a whole. So when you look at the IPM course, what interested me, especially for Indore and Ranchi, is that you're not limiting yourself to anything. Because if you look at Indore and Ranchi's course, it's all round development. I have biological sciences, I have calculus, I have coding, I have everything. So it wasn't management that interested me at the start. Instead, it was the course structure for the bachelor's degree. So that is, I believe, what I said in my interview, that I loved the course structure, and that is why I want to take it up, and I'll see in the future what it is I want to do.
Okay, so it's the curriculum, and surely I think you will be joining Ranchi very soon. And all the curriculum, all the extracurricular activities as well at Ranchi, you will be a part of it now. Right now, Manasvi, since one more part of your journey that really interests me is that you started after your boards, right? I want you to advise those students who always feel that they wait for the correct time. So, what would be your piece of advice to those students who feel that they are late and that to start their preparation it is too late and we should not do it? Let's wait for another year.
Um, Personally, I didn't think I'd have it in me to take a job here because that's a lot of mental strain and load. And I'm someone who plans, and like I take a day and then I make an entire schedule and I say that I'll start from tomorrow. And that is absolutely not the way it's going to work. So it feels a bit easier to start and complete your studies, because if you don't know what you have to study, that's a really big problem I face. Because with my boards, I had my syllabus and I knew what I had to study, but when it comes to IPM, there are so like IPMAT, there are so many different things that I didn't exactly know where to start. So knowing my strength, weakness, threats, opportunities, that was very important to me, because then I would know what to work on and exactly what to study. So it's never too late. You just need to know how to schedule your time and what to study exactly. Because again, IPM is not like your boards. You don't have to answer everything. You just need to know what to answer. So just take as many mocks as you can and know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and just start as soon as possible.
Great. And now that you have stressed so much about mocks, how many mocks did you take in your entire course of preparation? And what was your strategy when it comes to mock? Because another very important aspect of mock is not just taking the mock, but to analyze it as well.
So I gave around sadly, I didn't give many marks. I think I gave around 20 marks. And so that took a little bit of the burden off of me because I wasn't really sure how to analyze. But once you get that SWOT analysis, I use that, and I used to give a mock every 2 days. So in that gap day, I used to study whatever it was that I messed up in the previous mock. And so in my last few mocks, I was really stressed. So I was scoring really low marks. So for example, I started with 190, and then for some reason in my last mock it went to 170 or 160 because I was really stressed. And so that day I didn't analyze my mock because I was very scared. And then I had IPMAT in like 2 to 3 days. And I really regret that because there were a few questions from that mock which came directly in the exam with my numbers changed. So yeah, so mocks are important, and don't worry if you get less marks, because that 160 I got because it was a harder mock. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're scoring worse. It just means that the mock was harder, so it was harder for everyone. So don't take the absolute number as meaning for anything. You should either look at the percentile or just analyze where you've gone wrong. As long as you're doing better than last time, it's okay.
Okay, and like what would be the final piece of advice that you give to the 2027, 2028 aspirants? Things to do while preparing for IPMAT and things not to do while preparing for IPMAT.
Give as many mocks as possible and don't just give mocks, analyze the mocks you're giving, and absolutely do not worry about your mock scores because I think my highest in a mock would have been like 203 or something, but in my final exam I got 210. So don't worry about your mock scores. Worry about how much you're analyzing them and what you're doing after analyzing it. Because the biggest mistake you can make is even after giving a lot of mocks, not analyzing it and not studying where you're lacking. And also pick your questions very wisely. Don't waste time on any questions in the exam. That's all.
Okay. Nandini ma'am, if you have anything.
Yes, that was really nice hearing from Manasvi. So after, yeah, Manasvi has been actually working quite hard. Though she came in late, she was quite consistent. That's one thing I think all students should do. Whether you start early or late, there has to be consistency and hard work. So even for those who start, say, 2 years earlier or 1 year earlier, go, actually doing the mocks, and like we say, we tell them to have a logbook for your mock analysis, which does help. So it was really nice, and congratulations to Ministry. All the best. So
All right, Manasvi, it was great talking to you, and I wish you all the best for all your future endeavors. Can't wait to see you at IIM Ranchi campus.
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.